SPEAKPact. I am super thrilled about the content we're going to bring you today. I have Darren Gibb in the house, and he is an expert when it comes to building relationships, building bridges between you and those people that will help you move the needle in your career. So, we're going to dive into things like LinkedIn, some neat strategies there, and into utilizing AI in ways that can help you take your core signature talk and personalize it for a given audience without going straying from your brand. We're going to talk about storytelling and all the things in between. So, welcome to the stage, Darren. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me, my friend.
Well, I'm super excited. I'm not even sure where to begin. You come with a lot of knowledge, a lot of background. Let's begin with LinkedIn. You caught my attention because of the content you put out there. You've got tens of thousands of followers. Tell me, I know that you were a big star, right, on Instagram, and you kind of switched over to LinkedIn. You were an English teacher. Were you an English
I was indeed, yeah.
English teacher, and now you just help people generate big audiences. So tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, hello everyone, obviously, lovely to be here. So yeah, I'm an accidental entrepreneur, to be honest with you, Antoniette. A completely accidental entrepreneur. I never set out to be one. I've always loved language. Language has always been my thing. And truth be told, at school, I wasn't very good at anything else apart from my own native language, which is shameful as I live here in Spain at the moment. It was a passion for English language. I did English literature as my undergraduate and then did postgraduate education to become an English teacher. To be honest, it came out of a place of inequality. I found school difficult. I felt it very much wasn't for me, and encountered some teachers that made it very clear. So I always decided that I wanted to be a teacher to ensure that nobody would kind of have to suffer what I felt I had suffered. So we fast forward, I was an English teacher for 10 years and I loved what I was doing. But again, it was a little bit of, I was working in a school where it was run by millionaires and the key thing was profit. And it was really, in my opinion, it was to fund their yacht in the Mediterranean every year rather than to actually truly enrich and enhance the lives of youngsters. So I stayed there longer than I perhaps would have wanted to, but did out of a feeling of, again, unfairness towards these kids who hadn't been given the education they quite deserved. So I stayed there, helped them to get the exams that I felt, especially in English, they needed to get so they could progress and move forward. But I then left feeling just I couldn't continue. And I went to the world of ESL, English as a Second Language teaching. Not so good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just didn't enjoy it. Give me a classroom full of hormonal, moody teenagers and teach Shakespeare. I'm in my element. Give me a room of grumpy, mostly middle-aged men who just want to talk about the football at the weekend. It's just not quite as creatively or intellectually as stimulating. So it's really then, though, I decided to set up and learn about Instagram, set up my Instagram page. How can I use it? How can I build it? How can I grow it? I didn't make a single cent. Not one, but I learned a hell of a lot about audience building, content creation, how to kind of go viral. Learning going viral is actually a really bad thing, and anybody who tells you going viral is the aim, it's a red flag for me. It shouldn't be. We need to be very measured and strategic in how we create content. And it was the pandemic that came along, and obviously my face-to-face English classes were lost. So it was really then 4.5 years ago I decided I need to learn how to make money. So I sold my services as an English as a second language teacher on LinkedIn to people paying up to $100, $120 per hour. Now, having gone from being offered $12 an hour to $120 an hour during the pandemic, it felt like the right thing to do.
Nice.
Not bad at all. But then from there, it was just, again, what I'm going to say to everyone, follow what your audience are telling you. I was getting more native speakers getting in touch with me, asking about LinkedIn. I'd invested in myself after 6 months. I knew I had to. And that was how I kind of came to this place. And I started helping essentially coaches, small business owners, a couple of CEOs, helping them to actually grow their LinkedIn presence, create better content and content that converts followers into clients. And that's where I am today.
Okay. Woo. That's great. Okay. So you had, I don't know, tens of thousands of connections on Instagram. What what made you single out LinkedIn? Was it because of that professional piece where you knew that people need those outside of the US or outside of the English speaking world, um, if they wanted to grow in business, needed to have a better grasp on their English, says this Scottish man living in Spain.
One of two things, to be honest with you. Number one, Instagram is full of people who expect things for free. A lot of content on Instagram is
Mm,
free. If you're wanting to lose weight, if you're wanting to get fit, the fitness content for free is incredible. They've taken a lot of the tricks, and you've now got links to their landing pages where you're able to download a meal plan and things like this. Okay, they've taken that idea, but I found my audience on, especially as an English teacher, it just was wanting free things. When things are free, nobody's going to drop 1K, 2K to work with you as an English teacher, because English teaching in itself is seen as being very low paid on Instagram. Whereas with LinkedIn, over 40% of people have qualifications, have been to either undergraduate, masters, and beyond. So simply by the way of demographics, people are not only kids are educated, that doesn't really bother me, but by default tend to have more money. And what I was able to do in LinkedIn when I was teaching English as an English teacher there was redefine this idea of being an English teacher and becoming a niche teacher. My background is also in sales, so I helped sales people working in pharma, because I taught in big pharma here in Spain, to improve their English and become better at their jobs. So it's really finding that niche, but LinkedIn was the obvious place. And it wasn't as saturated. I've seen the platform grow by about 350 million people since I started out really 4.5, 5 years ago. So there wasn't that saturation. But even to this day, LinkedIn, even though with the algorithm changes and the reach is so poor, it really is still the best place to be starting. And I'd say any CEO, anybody who's wanting to start up their own company, anybody who's been a thought leader and is ready to move and start to grow a brand, LinkedIn is the place to be. I'm not saying TikTok's for dancing and Instagram's for selfies, although there's elements of truth in there, but LinkedIn is the place where it is. And again, we simply look at the metrics, and for wealth, and I've year on year always doubled what I've generated, on course for a record year this year. And it's through consistency, being there, and just you figure out what works. And that's the beauty of social media, and kind of not giving up. A little bit like anybody in business, they don't give up. Those who give up first are the first to drop out.
okay, you said a bunch, and there's some things that you have said about LinkedIn that we haven't. I pretty frequently bring in LinkedIn professionals, and that wasn't the predominant reason why I brought you in. We're going to touch on it. We have a lot more to touch on, but you said some things I haven't heard yet that are so spot on that I just wanted to highlight. And that is number one, on most of the other platforms, people are looking for free, right? They just are interested in what is out there that I can have that's free. You honed in and realized people on LinkedIn are looking for professional connections, and they have oftentimes just for those reasons, LinkedIn is a fabulous choice. Um, I'm going to let you speak on that for a moment. My screen is frozen, so I'm going to back in while you kind of talk on that. First of all, how did you figure that out? And the quality of your connections versus the other platforms. How has that worked for you?
So here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think most people don't quite get. And there's a beautiful dichotomy in here. If you're on Facebook, you're scrolling Facebook because it's personal time. That's not to say business doesn't come into play. It does. You might well be scrolling through Facebook. You've got your favorite business guru. You give them a look. But my feeling is psychologically, you're not in the place. Likewise, if you're on Instagram, or you're on Instagram, it's a similar situation. TikTok, it's not to say there's lots of great business content out there in TikTok. There is. But again, I don't want to mix business with pleasure. I want my audience to be so damn clued in, they're only thinking business. Because when they're thinking business, they're thinking pain points. And my content, as should yours, focuses on pain points. Therefore, their emotional state is more heightened to be more receptive to that content that you're producing, as opposed to serious emotional state. Oh shit, flick. Oh, it's okay. It's a dancing cat video. Everything's okay again. The world's easy again. So I think it's a case of that. So that was really how I felt about it. Now, there's still a lot of people who we have a lot of what we call edutainment on LinkedIn. And that's some people doing a lot of funny stuff or funny skits and things like that. I've seen an increase in this in the last few years, but it's not to say that that sells. What it says, Antoniette, is who do you want to be? Do you want to be the dancing clown who gives excellent business advice? Be that person. If you want to, if that's who you are and that's what your brand is, fine. I always say content must attract and repel. All people try to do, and the number one mistake, most people are listening to this right now, my brothers and sisters, is you're trying to be for everyone. You didn't get to where you were by being for everyone. We attract and we repel. We attract the right people towards our message, our way of viewing the world, of solving problems. We attract those who aren't. I'm quite spiky. I tell it like it is, and I use the F word more than I probably should. That attracts the right people and it repels the wrong people. I could have exactly the same message as you, Antoinette. I absolutely could. But do you know what? It's personality. And this idea of people by people is the oldest business sales bullshit in the world. It's not true. If that was true, we'd all be millionaires.
Yeah.
People buy people like them.
People
And
by
that's
people.
why,
Mhm.
yeah, like them. And that's why attract and repel and having a brand and LinkedIn being the perfect place for it is the way to be. And the final thing is, LinkedIn isn't the old CV website like it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. If there's an audience, I'd be saying, hands up here who still thinks LinkedIn's a CV website, and I'd get a third of you, a half of you saying so. It's not. It's massively changed. And I tell you the biggest shift, Gen Z are on there. Whatever you think about Gen Z, they are leading this right now because they've got the creativity, they've got the ideas. And so, older millennials like myself, we are looking at Gen Z and saying what can be learned here. This idea you need 20 years in marketing with a degree and a bachelor's and an MBA doesn't hold true anymore. It's consistency, having a range of content, having your content pillars. What are the things you want to be known for speaking about? 3 to 5 of them and dialing in them every time. And that is the genesis of content creation. And just post, post, post. Things that bomb. Nobody cares. No one remembers the next day. People have got such a short attention span nowadays. They've forgotten if you wrote a post that wasn't very good. They've forgotten within a few more posts of the scroll, let alone the next day. And also, final thing, the average scroll time on LinkedIn is between 12 and 15 posts. People are only scrolling 12 to 15 posts before they're putting their mobile away. The average scroll time is about 2 minutes. So we're not in this stage where people are going to be spending time studying our content. We must make it unique. We must make it stand out. We must have that hook, that story, and that offer. And we have that, we're in golden territory.
Okay, first of all, you're a
I'm
lot of
very
fun. You need
enthusiastic.
to
So
be on
sorry.
stages. You need to be we need to have that conversation, Darren. But so many things that you touched on, I would like to echo and put an exclamation point on, because we are singing the same song on much of what you said. Number one, I'm a huge fan of Seth Godin, and if you've read his Purple Cow book, right? We are so afraid to offend or push away. And that should actually be our goal, right? Because we really want to attract our right fit people, our perfect fit people. And you can only do that by alienating your non perfect fits, right? When you speak their language and they attract themselves to you, they also become your best ambassadors and will spread the word for you like none other because you fit what they're looking for specifically. You've spoken their language. They know you're the person, right? They are that purple cow in a field of thousands of white cows. I'm purple. They're purple. Oh, cool. We're gonna link arms, and I've got somebody who understands me. So don't be afraid to alienate, not for the sake of alienating, but really for the sake of honing in, knowing who you're speaking with, and speaking their language, speaking the language that communicates that you understand where they're at now and where they want to get to. I love that you brought that piece up. I think in LinkedIn, we have a lot of opportunity to do that. Number one, LinkedIn, it keeps the space pretty clean. I think cleaner than others. You follow LinkedIn's rules, read the fine print, because they will shut you down very, very quickly if you don't, right? Which I love. And also, I'm always like a little bit nervous. We got shut down, and it was because years and years ago, I had totally forgotten I had done a LinkedIn profile like a lot of us do, and it just kind of sat there and was dormant. I forgot about it. And then a few years ago, I'm like, I'm going to revisit this LinkedIn thing, right? And wrote and created a real profile. And I've been really active in that. Well, they connected the two. I don't even know how. Two different, like an email address I don't even use anymore was the old one. Yeah, like I don't know how they did. They have very powerful algorithms. They shut us down until we remedied that and then let us back in. There's a class action lawsuit out there right now, or in the works anyway, from people who have built their following to tens of thousands of people, and really a big part of their business off the back of LinkedIn, and they've gotten shut down and they don't know why. So just be really, really careful to follow their rules. That's scary, but it's also fabulous because it's there for professional people to make professional connections and get some work done, right? And so keep it clean and keep it like that. You said so much goodness there. Um, it's cleaner. They're professional people. They're not going to be scrolling for hours on end. You just have a very quick amount of time to speak to the people that you know you want to speak to, catch their attention and move on. Right. And you have really kind of the backbone of that strategy. You've really dialed that in. Tell me a little bit about what your posts look like. Like, how do you do that? How do you attract the Darren Gibb people and keep them engaged? Because you have built your following pretty significantly on LinkedIn.
Thank
And
you.
yeah.
So the first thing is algorithmically, we need to, well, I believe you need to have a bit of an understanding of the algorithm. And I'm going to basically spill as much as I can with you today that I feel as being the things. The algorithm itself is big and scary and confusing, but we just need to know a few basic things. So one way the algorithm works is that if you mostly consume video content, you're going to receive mostly video content into your newsfeed. If it's mostly text only, you're going to receive mostly text only. So we need to bear this in mind. So therefore, what we need to do is we need to have a content strategy which is truly multimedia, multimodal. So I would say having a text only post once a week, a text plus image post once a week. Doesn't need to be a selfie. A video post once a week. A carousel, which is when you upload a PDF and you click through it a number of times. They get good reach. Not as good as they have previously, but they still do pretty well. I would also have, obviously, video. I'm not sure if I mentioned video being really important. What you want to do is you're wanting to maximize the amount of times that you're able to show up in people's feeds. So just if you don't like video, that's fine. You'll see tomorrow's text post more likely, and so on. So it's creating content that is truly multimedia, multimodal. At the moment, video is getting massive push because of the fact they've now in LinkedIn on mobile, there's now like a video version that's very like TikTok. So you're just swiping through the videos, getting that dopamine buzz. So because that's so high at the moment, it's giving a lot of what we call reach to video. Reach quite simply being the amount of people that your video gets sent out to. So video at this moment, as of September the 2nd, 2024, is very hot. That will change. These always change, which is why it's worthwhile keeping an eye on Richard van der Blom's algorithm report. He puts out once a year. I'd recommend following him. He's an excellent person to follow. Content-wise, we want two different types. I quite like to follow my friend Richard Moore, and what he says, I tend to be an advocate as well. Monday and Friday should be engagement posts. The idea is to get engagement from our audience. Likes, but more importantly, comments. A comment is about 12 times more powerful than a like, interestingly enough. So likes aren't very useful in LinkedIn. Comments are. Why? Because the algorithm wants to see a conversation taking place. Here's a little tip for everyone. create your content, write a comment in it asking a question, and explicitly tell people to be replying to that comment. So it could be, as I typically find, people will read your content and like it, they'll give it a like. Those who are in your comments are your warm buyers. They want to see what others are saying, they want to see more of what you're saying, and typically they want to spend more time with you. So I'll sometimes create a comment that's about 3 times longer than my actual post. And I'm looking for the hot signs, the hot cognitions of people liking and replying to it. That tells me they're really into my content. But again, the algorithm, if it sees 3 different replies from 3 or more different people, you're getting up to 20% boost in reach, going to more people. So it's these little tricks that tend to help quite a bit. But again, they're not essential to know. But having an engagement post Monday and Friday, why? People are coming off the weekend on a Monday. They don't want to be sold to, quite rightly so. So we don't. A Tuesday would be what I call a reach out post, where you're creating a really valuable bit of content and you're encouraging people to send you a message, a DM, or a comment asking for an extension of that, an extra video, a cheat sheet, a blueprint, a worksheet, things like this. People who reach out to that are reaching out because that's a pain point you've hit and it's worth having a conversation over. Polls on a Wednesday, really important. Again, people will tell you their pain points within polls, which they won't write in comments, and they won't write if you go, "Hey there, Antoinette, what's your problem with social selling? How do you think I can help?" Go away, never heard of you. But if you create the right strategic poll, you will get those answers from that. And again, conversation to be had. And on a Thursday, we want to reframe the world. And I always say to my clients, what's that bit of information that you always see on social media or from business partners or from people in the office? What's that thing you always hear and you always think, "Oh, what a load of crap that is. Why is this such a popular belief?" And they just smash it. So, for example, for me, it's this idea of commenting. On LinkedIn, people will tell you to comment hundreds of times a day. What an absolutely massive waste of time. Why? Why would you comment? Then you become everybody's best friend and you're not actually focusing on clients or getting work done. Instead, yep, I say 15, 15, 15. So 15 comments a day on the right people's posts. 15 new connection requests a day with the right people. 15 DMs a day with the right people. That's 75 a week, 300 a month. You telling me out of 300 conversations a month, you couldn't get 10 calls and you couldn't close 2 or 3 new clients for speaking engagements? Of course you could. But again, the rhetoric is comment, comment, comment. I'd rather put that energy elsewhere. So, what's that nonsense you hear repeated all the time in your niche, in your speciality, which makes you roll your eyes? Write them down. It's the most cathartic experience. Get that written down. Get it written down and think, boom, what is it? And that is content right there for you. So, yes, that kind of content. And Friday being another engagement post because we're looking to get Tuesday and Wednesday, we're wanting people to be getting onto calls with us. Therefore, we don't book on a Friday because when you have Friday booked for the Monday or the Tuesday, people are going to usually cancel because they've got the weekend to think about it. Their mind's not on work. Other things pop up for the week ahead. So that's why Friday, Monday, nice relaxed days. I've done it again, my friend. I've got too excited. I apologize.
You are a lot of fun. I love the energy that you bring, and you are passionate about your work. So that is so fabulous. I'm loving this. So before we switch over to your superpower is in content creation and the the correct utilization of AI in that. So we're going to shift over to that in just a moment. But a couple
Sure.
quick things I wanted to touch on is that intentionality piece about LinkedIn. Whereas on other platforms, you just kind of connect with anyone, right? And you like whatever. It makes a really big difference in LinkedIn with what you get in your in your home screen, I guess. Um, who you're connected with. I think with LinkedIn, it's more important who you're connected with. Are there like audiences? Is it relevant to your career goals, right? And comment versus just like it. When you're commenting in other people's, especially other people's relevant posts, you said 15 a day, you are getting seen by 15 other audiences that aren't your own. And that's really brilliant. Darren, thank you for bringing that up. It's very be very intentional who you connect with. And it's sometimes feels almost mean, right? People want to connect with me, but I say no, not because they aren't fabulous people, but because they're going to mess up my mojo, right, in LinkedIn. So I know why I'm in LinkedIn, what I want to accomplish there, and those are the people that I connect with in there. So I thought that was really, really brilliant. One of the things that we do that you just kind of cemented as a kind of a smart thing, um, every time I have a SpeakPact interview, right, and my guest outlines something the way that you do, we create a little downloadable for the guests that were there, and of course we fully attribute the creator. I would love to create one for this audience on that Monday through Friday kind of plan that you have given, that you've laid out for LinkedIn. And we put that in the comments, and then, they have to comment back, yes, I want it, yes, I want it. And we'll get that to them. Right. And so I didn't even know we were doing something right. And that's something that we're doing right. So that's really fabulous. Let me just recap and make sure I got it right. So Mondays and Fridays are engagement-based posts, which I'd like to understand a little bit more about what engagement-based post is. We'll talk about that in a moment. Wednesdays are polls. Are Tuesdays and Thursdays off, or did I miss something? Like
Yeah,
nothing
no.
on.
So Tuesdays are where you're creating a viable resource. So a little bit like what you're creating here for your audience. It's essentially a lead magnet. It's what you're creating, right? Let's just call a spade, as we should be as marketers. So it's creating something that's useful. So it might be, for example, if I was going to use that, I might go and post on LinkedIn a carousel showing that Monday through Friday structure. What I would then do is I'd say, but listen, that's actually not the key bit, because you need to know what types of engagement posts that you need to be launching and what types of reframe ideas. So DM me over the word, I don't know, reframe me now, and I'll send you over a 5-minute video which breaks this down. You've got to then reach out to me for that video, and then of course send it to you. But naturally, we would be stupid not to then go into that conversation and see, well, what is it that you find difficult about this? Why do you feel that this is something, having this sort of thing, would be beneficial? But yeah, we give them the content there. So that's what I would be tending to do. So a reframe post, a reach out post is just like that. When you're creating something valuable, somebody's going through, they're getting value from it, but there's an added extra, which is the next logical step in the thing. What's that next thing? And that's what they're
Okay.
reaching out for.
So free content Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but all kind of interactive. And then that reach out post on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Let me ask you this:
I would
Is
even
it
say, no, Tuesdays are free content as well. Tuesday is so damn valuable that somebody could download that and change everything. It's just if they want the next level, reach out to me. Simple as that, and I can send it over. And if it feels like it's resonates, I'd say, so, how did you find it? What did you find was most useful? What was most surprising? And then clearly just that conversation opening up. But yeah, the Tuesday is really high value. It's not paid, it's not gated, it's not trying to hide anything away from anybody. It's available there on LinkedIn, but there's there's an extra bit that they can have if they'd like to get in touch. So that's really the difference between it.
okay? I love that. And when you say, so let's say you do that, like get in touch post. Um, is it better to say comment below, let me know you want it, or go to my DMs? What is
Either or. I always give two options. Sometimes people are shy, so they want to go to the DMs. Others people for speed, and going into a DMs is an obstacle of pressing another button to get into your DMs. So it's a case of, and tell them what to say. Don't just say comment or DM. It's a worst thing. It's another obstacle. What do I do if I'm
Mhm.
nervous? What do I put? I can't be bothered thinking. I'll just won't bother for it. Whereas if you say DM me the word replay, and I'll send the replay to you. Okay, all they've got to do is write a 5-letter word, and they've got it.
I like to
6-letter word.
I like to feed two birds with one handful of of bird food. Right? I hate to say kill two birds with one stone. Um, so the reason why I like to say comment, right? Let me know in the comments, is because it also gives you that boost in the algorithm. So it's kind of
Exactly.
getting two things done there. These are fabulous, fabulous tips. We didn't even set out to have a LinkedIn conversation, but as you and I were talking pre-interview, you really have a lot that you understand about this really powerful platform. So thank you for sharing your
No,
wisdom
not at
there.
all. Thank you.
So I want to shift a little bit over to really your big superpower, and that is obviously as an English teacher, you have no problem writing. You love all things content, right? And you've really been able to hone that for for um, high achieving business professionals, how they can take all some of that curated knowledge and create content pieces that matter to the people that they're connected with while utilizing AI so they don't have to get into all of the semantics of actually writing, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So it really came out of a place of a lot of my clients. I'm very fortunate to have incredible clients, but I love writing. I was an English teacher, for goodness sake. I'd hope I would enjoy writing. I would hope it was something I might be okay at should I go to teach future generations of, right? So it's always something that's come to me very easily. When I was young in school, I would sit and write stories and no problems, and they would be good. And it was always top set, top class for English. Everything else very low, but English always high. And so it was really thinking on this and knowing that a lot of my clients, it wasn't so much that they had bad business plans or bad businesses or were poor coaches or poor leaders. It was that they're just not great writers. Much like if you give me numbers with an X and a Y in it, I will physically cry in front of you. And if you talk to me about Pythagoras and his bloody theorem, I will tell you, I left school a long time ago and I never have used it. And I told my math teacher I wouldn't need to use it. Why wouldn't they listen to me? So I can understand maths and science, I find very difficult. So I can understand what it's like. So it was out of this. It was a case of trying to make it a bit democratize content a little bit more. So I built an AI content generation bot, and simply it is trained on your target audience, the problems that they have, how you specifically solve them, because we're all unique, your background, their background typically, and your style of writing. So it copies how you write. It learns to synthesize your writing style. So its outputs doesn't feel like chat GPT written, which I think we all know is very chat GPT and words like skyrocket and all this sort of thing. It doesn't. It feels like you. A lot of my clients tell me that their viewers, their followers haven't noticed any sort of difference apart from the fact they're creating content a hell of a lot faster than they were previously. So on top of that, as you can see, I love content. I love LinkedIn. I love email marketing as well, but this is a conversation for another time, perhaps. But I really thought, so if I can train it on these things and teach it how to write a good LinkedIn post and tie it into an engagement post, reframe post, reach out post, how to do for polls, these sorts of different types of post storytelling posts, which ChatGPT traditionally does incredibly poorly. If I can teach it to create this sort of post and then just structure it. So, number one, for example, what's the topic going to be? Commenting on LinkedIn. How does everybody tend to view this topic? Everybody says we need to comment to get great engagement and to make ourselves superstars. How do you view this differently? I believe it's actually the opposite. Commenting strategically 15 times a day is absolutely fine. But when we start commenting hundreds of times a day, we become everybody's best friend as opposed to our specific audience's expert. How does this help position yourself as a thought leader? Positions myself as thinking differently and showing that there's a better, clearer method, which is DMs instead. So I've really just answered 4 questions as an example, and it generates content for me right there. And that can be repurposed into many different types of posts, email sequences, newsletters, blog posts, whatever you really want. So yeah, I like to think of it as a democratization of writing and copywriting in particular.
Okay, so much goodness there. Oh my goodness, Darren. Okay, so first of all, you said it without saying it, right? LinkedIn is about building relationships, building deeper connections, going deeper versus wider. It's not about the numbers. Hey, I've got 1 million followers on TikTok, right? Who flipping cares if that doesn't turn into anything? right? The deeper the connection, the deeper you get to work with certain people, the deeper you get to um, create these relationships that can be valuable in any number of ways, right? So being really intentional about that, care
Yeah.
about that way more than you do the big numbers. Fabulous. And some of the ways that you do that is creating content that matters to those perfect fit connections. So so you utilize AI in that way. Tell me a little bit about how you utilize AI in creating what we call your story, what we now have adopted as story banks based on Cesar Castro's interview we did a while bit ago. Um, Story banks, right? Creating those stories that connect with certain audiences as speakers. We want to pre-choose our stories that fit into our signature talk that relates to the audience that we're speaking to, right? Not the same old talk every single time. It's the same body of content, but
Hmm.
now fashioned in a way that's going to reach the people that you're actually speaking to. So how can we utilize it in that way? And how can we also utilize this AI strategy that you've come up with to further customize our core signature talk? Don't want to stray too much from our brand. A confused
Hmm.
mind doesn't buy, but we also don't want to become vanilla where we're this one talk for everyone. We do want to be relatable to the people that we know are going to be sitting in that audience.
Okay, so a couple of great questions. So I think with regards to AI, I need to be honest here and call it out here. You're not going to get it from ChatGPT. You need to invest time in this. I invested thousands of hours learning about AI. I took a diversion from my content and content strategy business to learn about AI because I could see how powerful it was and how powerful it's going to be in the future. So yeah, you need to learn how to prompt. If you don't know how to prompt engineer, you're getting nowhere. If you're typing act as a storyteller, you are to create a story about me. My name is X, I do Y. You're getting make the tone persuasive yet friendly. If you're doing that as you're prompting, it's garbage in, garbage out, as we
Junk
say in
in,
AI.
junk out. Yep, yep.
Right, and that's what we're going to get. So how could we? So you're asking me, this is the little AI problem solver in my head. What I would be doing is, if you've got these problems already written out, we should 6 to 12 stories are great, right? I mean, that's absolutely fine. I would be saying we actually enter that into an AI bot, and then we'd have these prompts as a just like I said, what's the topic going to be? What's the thing that everybody believes? How do you view this differently? And you're answering these questions. I would have the following questions answered. So, who is the audience? What are their pain points? What similar thing have you experienced in the past? Then I would get the AI bot to how long do you want the speech to be? And I would just get the AI bot to jump into these previous stories of yours and yours only, and bring its genius into it and generate a new story, leaning into a mixture almost of your past stories that would help you to create this new story. That's one way, kind of off the top of my head, that I think you'd be able to do it. There'd have to be, again, this is where just putting a prompt in ChatGPT would be difficult. You'd have to safeguard it quite a bit, because otherwise it could start to hallucinate and make up information which isn't true. You would obviously know it's not true. There's a lot of headaches in there. And I think this is the one thing that I'd say about AI. When it's taking us longer to use AI than just using our brains in a computer, that's when we've got a problem. So we do need to learn we need to learn that sometimes AI isn't the solution for absolutely everything. And I think speech writing, I think it can certainly help, but I think still to this day, there's probably quite a large element of human input needed. I think you could train the AI very well, but again, it really is having somebody who is a storyteller, who has worked with people in similar situations to help you with that. So as good as AI is just now, it would need a very specific programming, like I've done with my content generation bot, as opposed to using Claude or using ChatGPT. It's just not there. And I think it's someone like working like someone with yourself, who's got the experience, who knows how to tell stories. That's a problem. ChatGPT doesn't tell good stories. You know it's going to be rubbish when it starts off with "once upon a time." Or let me tell you a story about X, right? So yeah, I know that's not the ideal answer. I don't feel AI is quite there yet, straight out the box. But I think that, as I said, we could build something there. It would be, but have to be very restricted. And even then, it's kind of, it's, if we're diving into different stories, how authentic a story is it creating? Or is it actually a lot quicker and easier to learn to tell stories ourselves through our own authentic being and lived experiences that we're able to talk about? So I'm not sure we're there quite yet.
Okay, so Scottish man who is an English communication specialist has built an AI tool specifically to help high-level professionals create content that resonates with those who they actually want to build relationships with. Tell us a little bit about that, and how does the SpeakPact audience check it out and learn more about what you do?
Yeah. So best way to check it out, because obviously we're not quite here to show everybody at the moment, would be if they're interested, they can connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Darren Gibb, DarrenGibb. I've also got my website, darrengibb.com. You can get on that. But the best way would be to simply DM me the word content bot and obviously mention the show, and that means that I know you're coming from here. And yeah, that's probably the best way to do it, just so I can show you it in real time. It tends to work a lot better that when people are really quite amazed with it, if I'm being honest. I think people sometimes think, is this for real? Is this actually generating and creating this? So I quite like to have the opportunity to show people in real. But yeah, it's trained in copywriting. It's trained on LinkedIn content generation. It's trained myself, my clients are about to hit 7 figures for this year amongst us, just from LinkedIn alone. No paid advertising, all organic marketing using LinkedIn. So it's very much, I would hope I'm able to write well and I'm able to program a bot to do LinkedIn content well. And it really is, it's taking a lot of the learning process out. They're not having to learn how to structure the copywriting for a LinkedIn post. It's just there. It's done. It's easy to use, and that's the key thing. It's got to be easy to use, and typically it's 4 or 5 questions you're answering, and it just generates the copy for you that way.
Okay, so two things I want to ask you about that. I
Yeah.
love that. Go find Darren, right? DarrenGibb.com. Pretty easy. Or find Darren Gibb. There's probably more than one Darren Gibb on LinkedIn. Is there anything special about like how we
LinkedIn.com/in/Darren Gibb. If you
Okay,
search for me, I believe I'm the top.
DarrenGibb. Okay, great.
That's it.
Um, two things I'm seeing that are powerful for specifically for speakers. Number one, LinkedIn is very, very powerful to if you're a corporate trainer. And there's also a lot of event planners on there, but
Mm.
especially for corporate training,
And it's
really,
especially so
yeah,
important. And I think corporate trainers don't get this, because I spend a lot of time on the network and I don't see corporate trainers. It's it's the place. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, my friend. I'm
you're
just so
good.
passionate
Go
about it.
for it. Go for it.
It
Love it.
is the place. No one's going to find you on bloody Instagram, on TikTok, doing a little dance in corporate training. They're not. But your clients, the HR teams, the CEOs, they are on LinkedIn. And you've got to remember, CEOs, my friends, you will be watching and listening this. Most of you don't comment on LinkedIn. I know you don't, because you've not got the time. But it doesn't mean that you're not scrolling those 12 or 15 posts in a single session once or twice a day, and you're seeing things. So those people who hire corporate trainers are absolutely the ones who are there wanting it. And what better way to show that your corporate training is better than the run-of-the-mill average that they waste tens of thousands of dollars every year on, than by creating quality content that shows that difference. So my goodness, I think you're so right. There's not enough of corporate trainers on LinkedIn, which means there's a huge gaping hole. Yet all your audience are sitting there consuming others' content.
Ooh, okay. This is definitely going to be a highlight because you are spot on, and your passion. If you want to infuse some passion back into your career, definitely get a hold of Darren. Fabulous. And we are singing the same language, my friend, because you are exactly right. Why? I mean, we format all of our content, all of our energy into LinkedIn, and sure, we put some little clips of that on other places, but our time, our energy, our focus is definitely in LinkedIn for good reason. And one of the biggest being what you just now said. So good. As we wrap, there's so much more we could talk about. We'll go ahead and wrap. There's so many different strategies and ways that they can go about really connecting with the right audiences, right? And so Content is the first step. And if you want a bigger strategy, definitely reach out to Darren, a more targeted strategy. But what can you tell the Speak Pact audience today? You and I, Darren, are here to make a pact, to make the greatest impact with the power of our voices. That is possible. And we're bringing that to the Speak Pact audience. What's one thing they can put into practice today or tomorrow that can really help move the needle right there?
Get dust off that LinkedIn account. Write
Dust off
down
the LinkedIn.
dust off the LinkedIn account. Write down 10 things that you see in your space which annoy you, and then write 10 solutions to them. The number
Ooh.
4, write a bloody post about it. And here's the big one, my brothers and sisters. Press that button that says post. And then tomorrow, use that second idea that you had on that list. And the next day, another one. Maybe post a little picture of yourself, reintroduce yourself to your network. But honestly, start creating content. It is absolutely the future of this economy. It is the future of how business is done, especially if you're in the CEO or especially the corporate trainer kind of world. My goodness, there's honestly a massive, 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 massive market waiting to see how you view and train teams differently. Why would you be so naive or stupid to wait for another few 100,000 people to do it before you finally see it and get on the trend? Just get it done. It's a great way to network, to connect. I've had an amazing conversation with my friend here. I think I've made a friend here. I've loved having this conversation. This is through LinkedIn, nothing else. So my actionable piece of advice, create content and don't give a damn about how people might interpret or whatever. It's a purple cow. Bring the right people to you. Never be offensive, never hurt anyone. But I doubt you would even think of doing that because you haven't in your successful careers prior to now. So why would you start with a LinkedIn post? Show how you view that world differently and watch the right people come to you and the wrong ones just not. And that's fine. And don't think you're for everybody. When you try to be for everybody, you end up being for nobody. Be happy to be for that person. So that's what I would say.
Fabulous. Okay, we're going to add this to the downloadable for your episode, because this is so key and so doable. None of us cannot do this, right? So write down. Correct me if I got this wrong anywhere. So write down 10 things that annoy you. Write down 10 solutions that you have to those 10 things that annoy you
Yeah,
in your
about
space.
your niche. Be really niche, be really specific. 10 things that annoy you, and 8 as a corporate trainer in HR that I see that annoys me. So be really specific. The more specific, the better about it. But be niche down. Don't be too general. Try to be the more niche, the better. Again, we're filtering out those who don't get it and bringing in those who do. So 10, even 5 things. If you can't think of 5, I always think just stream of consciousness. Keep on scribbling until you have no more. You'll naturally say, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good. But go for 5 if you can. Let's do 5. Monday through Friday, you've got content. 5 things. 5 things that annoy you in your space.
Okay, bite size. So let's start with 5. And then in your superpower, in your authentic, unique voice, who you are. So love that. And then post it 5 days in a row. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
go for it.
So what I've noticed with LinkedIn, tell me if this is true for you, is LinkedIn, like most other platforms, rewards consistency. What it doesn't like, what I've found, but I'd like to hear what you found. It doesn't like 5 posts in one day. It prefers 1 post a day for 5 days. So have you found that?
Yeah, so the algorithm report is teaching us that this time, this will change in a few months, always does, but around 3 to 4 times a week postings, actually even more optimal than 5 times a week. I just think going Monday through Friday just creates a nice bit of consistency and familiarity. But those used to just starting out, let's just go 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's absolutely fine. I would just go for that. Now, if you feel like doing an engagement post, you mentioned earlier on engagement posts, an engagement post is something who we're just looking to get comments, we're just looking to get engagement engagement on it. So it could be something that's typically a bit more what we call top of funnel. And top of funnel is something that's more specific. It's not talking about a specific pain point that your niche is going to be able to identify with or comment on. So something that's quite generic. So for me, for example, the generic point might be I've spoken about comments, or the generic thing I might talk about for an engagement post might be I'm just back from holiday, something along those lines, just coming back from holiday, or even a list, 7 things I learned on holiday about myself. Don't try to make it too obvious where it's shoehorned, 7 things about business I learned on holiday, but something that's nice and easy and engagement wise. That could be great for Monday, for Friday, and that middle post on the Wednesday could be one of those one of those where you're taking a reframe and you're saying that thing that everybody says, but here's how I view it differently. So many different ways I'm already thinking that you could be doing it. But I would go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday if you've not posted in a long time. That will be challenging, but it shouldn't be overwhelming. And it means you've got a couple of bits of content set up for the following week. And just have fun with it. Do a search. See who's in your space that would be worth connecting to. Other corporate trainers, I'm just going to use this as a default. Connect with them. Stop looking for prospects to work with at this time, because your greatest supporters are in those who are in your niche. Because those corporate trainers, you could connect, and then you're going on to their comment, leaving content, leaving a good comment. People are now seeing the way that you view things. They're more likely to then check out your profile, give you a follow, and now they're in your funnel, and they're in both. And it might just be that over some time, that individual prefers what you're saying compared to that bigger influencer they were following for the last 6 months. And that's the beauty of organic social media. So be intentional, be purposeful, be authentic, which is so overused, but so true. Stay hold to your values. I spent the first 8 months in social media blending in and being vanilla, and I almost gave up. And I had to change because I was boring the hell out myself when I was writing content. So I was trying to be for everyone. Only when I started going, actually, this is how I view that, suddenly things just started to happen really quickly. And don't give up. The way that LinkedIn is at the moment, final thing I'd say, Dan Roth, LinkedIn's editor-in-chief last June, he came out and said, when something goes viral on LinkedIn, we start sweating. The network is not meant to have viral content on it.
Ooh.
It doesn't want viral content. You made a great point earlier on about rejecting connections. Good. Because when the algorithm sees you're connected with everyone in the possible world, how does it know who to send that content to? So connect to only people that are relevant in your business and what you do. And by personal trainers, connect with them. So yes,
No.
again, I've gone, there's too much
Darren,
here.
no,
I'm
this
sorry.
is such an important episode. Let's share this far and wide. These if the SpeakPact audience would institute just these principles that you have shared today, it would make such a tremendous difference on their connections. Something I want to touch on really quick. You said, authenticity is overused. I fully agree with that. So what does authenticity mean? It means just be you, be scrappy. Don't be perfect vanilla, right? Scrappy is what people are looking for. It's the new perfect. People want to relate, and they can't relate to perfection, to that vanilla, you know, everything to everyone. You be everything to one person, and you're going to really reach, then understand who that one person is, who you
Yeah.
want to reach and speak with.
And then write to that person.
Yes.
That's who your content's for. Have that picture of that one person. I love you. You're amazing. Have that image of that one person in your mind that you've just described there, and write for that person every day. If you want to use AI image generation and create what this person looks like, or just draw a stick person, that's absolutely fine. But write for that person. Give them a name if you want. Give them an age, a location, what they do, what they like. But write for that individual. And when you write for that individual, that's an amazing thing start happening. I've got a few friends who write for their single parents who write for their kids. That's not writing for the ideal client or ICP, but it's a different motivation. So write to someone who will just get it. I think it's easier to write for a client than a kid, for example, but write for that person who has that problem, who will get it, who that post will change the life of. And if you keep that person in mind over time, you just know exactly how to write for that one person. And that one person becomes 100, 1,000, 10,000, 20,000, 1,000,000. And this is how it goes. And just write for that one person.
And as you evolve, that person might evolve with you, right? So for years I had a picture of Dr. Peter right behind my camera. So when I'm speaking, when I'm creating content, whatever I'm doing it for him. That has evolved into CEO Peter, right? And because now we focus more on personal and professional development versus the wellness world, which is kind of where I came from. Um, and I see his face. I see him in the crowd when I'm speaking, and
Love it.
everybody who is him and needs from me what I can offer him are going to hear me and connect with me because there's like how did she get my journal? Like how does she know this about me? Because I you can understand one person, you cannot intimately understand hundreds of people, right?
Agreed.
Okay, this has been so much fun. We could go on and on. You are a
We
wealth
could.
of knowledge. It's amazing that people can get onto a one-to-one call with you. I can only imagine what they're going to, the value that they're going to walk away with for that. So thank you for bringing your wisdom to the Speak Pact audience today.
You're more than welcome. Listen, thank you so much for having me, Antoniette. Honestly, it's been an absolute blast. Thank you. If you're still listening, which I bloody hope you are, if I've not bored you off into the world of social media, thank you. Just even that one person, we're talking about one person, aren't we? That one person just listening and maybe does actually pick up that pen and paper and starts jotting down those 5 things, the 5 bits of bullshit they hear in their industry that they see being different, and hit that button and go post, and then doesn't give up and shows up the next day and doesn't give up because they know this is a long-term play, and shows up the next day and then starts experimenting. Oh, for that person, if you're listening, my brother, my sister, so much love to you. It is a brave thing to be doing, but that is why those who do it, who do take that action and stick at it consistently, this is why they do absolutely so well. So yes, and very quickly, one question I know I've just forgotten about. Posting 5 times a day in one day, a really bad idea on the algorithm. You can post twice a day and it splits the reach between the two. 3 times a day, we see a real diminishing return. I personally have A/B split tested it. I wouldn't bother posting more than once a day. So I always say to my clients, 3, 4, or 5 times a week, absolutely fine. But if it's once a week's not quite enough. So go for 2, go for 3 minimum, go for 4. But yeah, just quickly remember that 5 times a day, not a good idea. Not a great way to quickly just end off the show there. But
No,
anyway,
you've helped
that
us.
one person.
Fabulous. No, you've helped us understand the mind of LinkedIn. And if we're going to be there and be devoting our resources to LinkedIn, even if it's just our time, let's understand its mind. You've brought us a long distance in that. So, Speak Pact audience, make sure that you give Darren Gibb flowers in that you like this episode, you share this episode. As Eric Coleman, I'll quote him, says, post it forward. That's how you care about people. That's how you get them this information. Post it forward, do the comments, do the likes, all the things. That is your thank you to both Darren and me. So for now, we're going to thank you for being with me and Darren. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.